What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of V2 Sports. I don't even want to give y'all an intro to this episode because y'all know what we're here for. We got to do a quick recap over the University of Georgia playing their spring game in January. There's nothing much more to it. Real quick, if you're watching on the YouTube before we even started recording, everybody decided to show their face, and our one lucky competitor, I guess, Luke, y'all can see him in the bottom right. Yeah, he's looking forward to being your Aflac spokesperson in the next couple of years. So make sure you look for him in the Tallahassee area. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the episode. What happened? Legitimately, what can we say about this national championship game?
TCU got absolutely dogged on. They got killed. They got smoked. This is more like I think this was they just said, Stetson, we don't care what plays you run. Just run whatever you want. Like, I truly think that's what happened. Just it's your final career game. Just cook. Literally, I think that's what Kirby Smart told him. Because he legitimately balled out. He did what he was supposed to, and he's probably the best Georgia quarterback by career status of all time, based on what he's done. And I'm proud of it. Walk on to the best Georgia quarterback in history. I'll take it, man. And I disrespected him so hard, but he deserves like all the good that he's gotten. And I regret picking TCU. But go SEC.
So, Aaron Murray's still the best quarterback in Georgia history. Let's get that straight.
I meant career. I meant career, not like actually skill. I meant like career.
Like, oh no, he definitely has better stats because he has a way better play caller than Aaron Murray did, and offensive line. True. Aaron Murray did not have a good offensive line.
Unpopular opinion about this game. This is less to do with Georgia being a very talented team and more to do with TCU not being prepared for the moment and not being a team that should be here. Ultimately, I'm not going to be the guy who's going to go out here and say, oh, Bama should have been here. They should have been in this game all along. Because no, you lost 2 games. You lost to LSU. Don't lose. Simple as that. But I will say that TCU shouldn't have been here because they were frauds. Like, I'm not only saying that just because of the score. The score is terrible, but it's the way the score occurred. When you see players getting 20 yards of distance on a deep throw with basic scheming from a double tight end set with Smart, that's a problem. Like, it's one thing to get out-coached, but it's another just to get outsmarted. And it seemed like TCU had a bunch of children coaching that team, and Sonny Dykes, where were you? Because clearly you were not present in that game. I mean, if you look at statistics here, so Georgia on average converts, I believe, 25 first downs a game. I think that's what it is. And this game, they converted 32. To convert 32 first downs is something that I just don't understand. I mean, I know that the defense wasn't great considering they gave up nearly 50 to Michigan, but I'm still stunned that the defense was just a bunch of tissues on the field and revolving doors, letting people just pass on by. I mean, this was just an embarrassing performance for TCU.
Definitely.
Another thing with this. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you go. I already talked.
All right. Another thing is this: about halfway through, after Darnell Washington made his catch, and we just took him out of the game because he got tripped up by his hurt ankle. After that, Georgia started running a lot of 11 personnel, and they were running TCU's offense. It was really, if like you go back and watch TCU's offense, it's a lot of misdirection, air raid stuff. It's like a Mike Leach offense with a tight end and a lot more misdirection. And that Georgia basically started running that like halfway through the second quarter. It was like Todd Monken was just messing with TCU. Like, he took the scout team playbook that we had ran the week before in practice and just started calling those plays.
Yeah.
Georgia.
I was about to say, if you were playing tight end, just let me know, all right? If you were an LA, why didn't you bring us back like some confetti and interview?
I have a bag of confetti.
Hey,
You just
I
steal
want to
stuff
say
from
one
me, we
more
can hang that
thing.
up in the V2 office and shit.
I want to say one more thing about TCU. I know the score says, yeah, you didn't deserve to be here, but they played who beat Ohio State. They played Michigan, who beat Ohio State. They beat them. They beat them fairly and squarely. They played their best game versus Michigan. They didn't show up. They didn't.
Let's be
Shut
honest,
up.
though, there were a few
They
things
should have
that
been there.
happened
They
that
should have been there.
allowed them to get that
Wait,
win.
Michigan kind of beat
Hey,
themselves.
hey,
It
you
Go
can
did.
blame a lot of things, but they deserved that win, and they made the championship.
Pause.
I mean,
Pause.
if
What were you-
if Michigan and
Will,
TCU played again, JJ McCarthy wouldn't throw 2 pick sixes.
Will,
You can say that,
Maybe.
pause real
but
quick.
you
Pause,
never know.
Pause. Kyle was actually starting to make a point, and I kind of want to hear his thought process through. Go ahead.
Though it's hard to win back to back, UJ has done it. So congrats to them. Even though it was very familiar territory for them. All the keys to the game I had for UGA, which was to get Brock Bowers involved. They kind of didn't do last game. And another key I had to the game for them was to contain Matt Duggan, which they really did well. Georgia is a very physical and strong team, way more stronger than TCU, and UGA with the most physical team TCU has played. So to me, it was kind of a wake up call for TCU because I have played a team like that, and once they did, it got thrashed for 60 fucking minutes. It's crazy.
I was going to go off of Kyle's point and pretty much say Georgia just physically dominated TCU, and it showed the entire game. Even the young guys for Georgia showed up and showed out. Bear Alexander, for example, he was a disruptor all night. He had two tackles, he had 1 sack, but he was disrupting pretty much whatever they had going. So he's going to be a guy that I think down the road you're going to be knowing pretty well.
You know what's
Now,
another
honestly-
thing that was? Oh, you got it.
You want me to go?
Honestly, TCU winning that 3-3-5. All Georgia had to do was put like an extra lineman or tight end on the line and run the ball. They're gonna get at least 6 to 8 yards of carry. As Georgia is more physical, 3-3-5 isn't good against any type of run attack, in my opinion.
And I
Let's
brought
just
up that. You got it.
I want to bring something up because we were talking about Stetson Bennett earlier. So, as of right now, he's viewed as an NFL guy, but they're saying he's a backup. That's from Sports Illustrated, Pat Ford. He said he's a backup. He will get drafted. Obviously, very instinctive. A good athlete that runs well, has a great arm. He makes impressive throws, but they still have him going in the 6th round of this draft. He just threw for 6 touchdowns, I believe, in the national championship, and he got pulled before the 4th quarter.
I
He
feel like
looks-
that's kind of fair, actually.
Hey, it's fair.
Around the
He-
5
he-
to
he
6
doesn't-
range.
Hey,
He's
he doesn't
25
have
years
the,
old.
He doesn't have the tools that he does have the tools. The issue is his height. Not just his height. You
The
see,
issue
he
is his
doesn't-
age. He's
Yeah,
25.
he's
You
25.
already have seen
He's
his max
25.
potential.
He's
He's
He's not
25,
going to prove
Hey.
anymore.
and he's also his mechanics are off. It's not like an NFL guy's.
It reminds me a lot of Desmond Ritter.
I was
He's
trying to
an
remember.
old guy
Yeah.
who's going to be a backup for some random mid-level team in the NFL. He's like, here's the thing: the whole reason why age matters in football is because you get an understanding of where they are at potential-wise, and we've already seen close to what Stetson's max potential is, and on top of that, he's playing on essentially the best possible team you could play in football on. I mean, if you put him on that TCU team and flipped quarterbacks, Georgia still wins that game by like 40 points.
Well, that's the
It might
whole
not
thing.
look as it might not be a 60-point win, but it's still a blowout.
Well, okay, like
So-
you're saying. All right, let's say Stetson does go to the league, and he's drafted. He's going to be a backup quarterback, and
Yeah.
by any way, shape, or form, we don't wish it on any starting quarterback, but they get injured, Stetson's got to come in. Everybody's going to actually see that Stetson's not that good. Okay, yeah, I get it. He just won 2 back-to-back natties. That's cool. But let's look at last year. A generational defense. You had Jordan Davis. You had everything. A D-line built straight from the gods. Okay, this year, you had an offensive attack, which, yes, without him, it wouldn't have looked the same. But it was still bonkers. You put him in the league on a team such as the Texans, the Falcons, somebody like a team with receivers, tight ends, and a defense that are not NFL caliber players, even though they're in the league, he's going to show y'all how much of a fluke he was. And the closest, guess, reshow, or like the closest comparison that I can make is when Tennessee won the ship back in '98, their quarterback was T. Martin. He went to the Steelers. He did not do shit. He was out of the league in like 4 or 5 years. Stetson's going to be the same, and as much as I joked with Luke about it at the intro, Stetson's going to be selling y'all car insurance, be your Aflac provider, all that fun stuff. He's not going to be in the league when it comes to 2027.
I mean, the bottom line is with Stetson, is this is a guy that, like, I'm not just gonna even talk about the backup at this point, but just look at his college career this season. Every game in which like he's had just this absolute great showing, what was it against? Bad defenses. And in the playoffs, who did he play? Bad defenses. And even then, he still didn't play great against Ohio State. As a matter of fact, I thought personally he didn't play good at all. He was one of the reasons I thought Georgia should have lost against Ohio State. I'm not going to say it's because of the field goal. I think a lot of other factors contributed to that point. But point is, I think that Stetson played not that great against Ohio State, a bad defense, but playing an even worse defense. This, for some reason, is just overshadowing everything because there's a lot of, hype about the fact that they're back-to-back champions and he was a walk-on and blah, blah, blah. And to put it into perspective here, if this was Bama or something, and let's say like this was instead of Stetson, Mac Jones, and he was in the same scenario, walk-on, blah, 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 not nearly as many people would care about it as much as they do right now, because we think of this as fresh scenery, a new life in a way, to where we're not seeing the same teams winning all the time. And I guess you could say, oh, but Georgia won last year, but that's still uncommon because Georgia beforehand wasn't in the playoffs and doing crazy stuff other than, I think, 2017 when they lost to Tua.
All right.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, he been good, but I ain't gonna lie.
One more thing, all right? Going back to anybody that has watched the past 2 years, seen Georgia, been like, you know what, they're building something great. If I hear any single person in this podcast tell me that Georgia is the next Bama, I'm gonna suspend you, because I do not stand for blasphemy on this podcast, and that's nothing but a crock of shit. Okay, Georgia, I'm so glad, 2022, that ship, I'm proud of you. Okay, that one was great. You grinded your ass off for it. This year, you really didn't have competition. And it's not me saying that you had a cupcake schedule. It's not me saying that, y'all were just, throwing it around willy-nilly. No. If you look at your schedule and the rest of the nation top 25, okay, you gave up games. You didn't lose, but you almost did, to Mizzou. And that's a real special one. I'm not even going to go with the rest of the list. It's Mizzou. They had what Jackson called all year the most underrated defense in the SEC. All right,
Hey,
cool.
it's true. It was the right take.
All right. Well, they're not a dynasty. Yes, you can hear Nick Saban. Well, my first year in Alabama, we lost to ULM. Okay, cool. Congrats. Georgia lost to Vandy. All right. That does not mean that it's a dynasty, and the same goes to you goofy Tennessee fans that tried to compare this year to 2019 LSU. It's not the same. All right. Bama's dynasty is something that's going to live in the history books forever. Georgia, congrats. But going back this year, Alabama, the team that usually makes it, had 2 losses. They fell off this year. They're gone. So your Final Four was left with an unbeaten Georgia who plays in the toughest conference, Ohio State who got mollywopped by Michigan, a Michigan team that played absolutely nobody, and TCU, who had previously lost the conference championship. All right, TCU beating Michigan, that was just a heaven sent from God. Okay, it shouldn't have happened. You can't do that again. TCU is not that good. So you put TCU, a team that struggled against Baylor, a team that struggled against Texas, and a team that lost to K-State, against the best team in the best conference with an outstanding just team chemistry. And you expect...
I'd also like to bring up in their schedule, they started off really top heavy. They beat Oregon, number 15. They blew out Samford. They blew out South Carolina. And then after that, they kind of slowed down. They let Kent State scored 22 on them. Then after that, Missouri scored 22. They won by 4. Then they blew out Auburn. They blew out Vandy. Blew out UF. Blew out Tennessee. But then, I don't know. They only scored 16 against Kentucky. This is the same Kentucky team that got whipped by Vandy.
I mean, to
Yeah.
close out this point, is when the playoffs are over and the champion has been crowned, and we're still talking about what the playoff bracket should have looked like, you can kind of get a general understanding that there was no consistently great team.
Exactly.
Other than Georgia. We did in usual seasons, by the end of the season where we're getting into bowl week, we have our solidified top 4. We know who's supposed to be there. There might be one team that's not supposed to be there. Like last year it was Cincinnati, but that's about it. And that's only happened once. But other than that, we've always had a solidified... Yeah, okay. Yeah. But point is, we've always had a solidified top 4. This is the first year where I can say there were so many other teams you could have put in, and it could have changed it up, even if they weren't the best. Like, for example, Tulane beat USC. And even though that happened, put USC in exchange for TCU, they probably still beat Michigan because they're the same team with the better offense. So, sure, bad defense, but at the end of the day, they still have a great offense. So,
and since
you could very well see the
The
exact
difference
same thing happening.
between TCU and USC though is TCU actually has a good defensive coordinator.
No,
Not,
my bad.
I wouldn't say good, but I'd
This
say above
game
average.
isn't good.
65
USC's
points, I
defensive
mean-
coordinator Grinch is not
This
that
game
good.
isn't good.
But
Here's the
But,
thing. If USC were to be in that game and they get to the championship instead of TCU, the game would have looked a lot different. I'm not saying that they would have won. They very well wouldn't have.
definitely.
But it would have been within 20 points because that
Yeah.
offense would have kept up with Georgia.
And
And that's
Yeah.
the point. We
Real
didn't
quick,
have a consistent
Jackson,
playoff bracket.
because I hear you're wanting to come in, let me state this. As soon as the game was over, hell, the game wasn't even over yet. It was like halftime. And you saw everybody, and it's not even just Tennessee fans, you saw fans from everybody saying, you know what, this kind of has a point. Earlier in the year, when playoff extensions were first brought and talked about, Tennessee's head coach Josh Heupel was asked on a podcast called Bussin' with the Boys what he thought about the playoffs. And he said, to be completely honest, just take the top 4 teams from the SEC and let them go for it. And I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. It's not a bad idea because no other conference in the nation can compete. And I'm going to be dead honest with y'all. You could have put Mizzou against TCU. You could have put Vandy against TCU. You could have put Arkansas against TCU. And all 3 of them would have kept it a close game because they're not the best in the conference, but they still would have just, shown everybody like Baylor did and Texas did that TCU
that away.
is frauds. Okay, TCU once again beating Michigan was just a fluke. Now Jackson,
I
I'll
wanna-
let you go in or whoever
Thank you.
takes, I don't care.
I want to double on that point. So
Dude.
I agree. The SEC is the best conference. People say Bama fell off. Bama's 2 losses by a total of 4 points in both losses. They lost by 1 to an SEC team, which also went to the championship. And then they lost by 3 in the final seconds as well to Tennessee, who could very well have made a run in the playoffs if they were healthy.
Another thing about
Wanna go off-
the Tennessee
Dude.
Bama game.
They're ranked also 2 in the poll.
Another thing about the Tennessee Bama game though is Bryce Young hadn't practiced in 2 the 2 weeks leading up to the Tennessee game, like he hadn't touched a football other than like 10, 15 throws a day. And then Alabama's offense gets out to that terrible start. What
Still
was
balled
it?
out though.
That's
Like
that's
28
super
to
simple.
7?
That's super simple. Okay, you don't want to have a poor offense. You don't want to touch the ball only 15 times a day until the game. Don't get
You
injured.
don't want to have Bill O'Brien.
You don't
Guys.
want Bill
Exactly.
O'Brien as your coordinator.
Can I please speak? Finally. Okay. This final take. Georgia showed up in all big games all this season. I don't care what you say. Yeah, they look skeptical, but every big game they showed up. But
Yeah, I
Hey,
agree with
hey,
Jackson.
hey.
They
Hey,
scored 16 on Kentucky.
what?
okay,
Kentucky was a
even
big
the
game.
Georgia players
Nobody
even
expected
admitted before the
Kentucky to
game they
be-
didn't want to be there. It was also like 20
Oh,
degrees.
Oregon-
It's
If you're
20
from the
degrees.
South,
You play a
hey,
game
when you
outside.
play
Wham,
Oregon,
wham,
was
wham.
terrible.
You play South Carolina and you absolutely kill them, and you saw how both those teams finished. Then you struggle to mid teams like
Okay,
Kent State
cock
and
blocker,
Missouri
let's
because
breathe
you're
for
not
a
even
second.
trying. And then
You're saying
guess
Kent
what?
State is mid now?
Uh,
That's
No,
generous.
no.
That's generous.
Yeah.
But okay, so
And
y'all
then
are sitting there and y'all
versus
you-
Tennessee, they killed them. Not killed them, but held their
I'm
offense.
confused why a lot of people say Georgia killed Tennessee when it was only 11 points.
I said killed their offense, not killed
Okay,
them. I
wait,
Right,
just meant
so
killed
they
their
didn't
offense.
pause. Jackson and Will. Okay, mainly Will. You sat here and you said the Georgia team didn't want to be there before the Kentucky game. That's too damn bad. You signed up for this shit. Okay, it's 20 degrees outside and you're from the South. Boo hoo! I'm from the South too. It doesn't matter. It's 20 degrees. You're getting paid bukus of money from Crystals and wherever else you're getting your NIL funds. Get your ass on the field and get your money's worth.
They did get their money's worth. They won an Natty.
Yeah.
Did they do it against Kentucky? No, that was the final 10 minutes of the game.
Also, my final take on this: Stetson Bennett, he might have sucked overall all season, but nobody can tell me he wasn't an elite second half quarterback. Like every single game in the second half, he absolutely balled out.
Like,
He's
yeah, the
absolutely
Tennessee
like selling
game-
slants to fight
Season.
cars.
In the
Jackson.
second
You
half,
just say that Bennett
What?
might have sucked all season?
Can I ask you a question, Jack?
That-
What?
Before we started recording, we were talking, had to go handle some things. You had your camera on. Did anybody else in here see him smoke some crack? Because that was the dumbest statement I've heard come
I
out of
said
that cock
Stetson
lover's
was a
mouth.
good second half quarterback. What else? I didn't
He
call him
was.
the best second half
He
wasn't a
quarterback.
good second half quarterback.
I never
The only
called him the
second half
best
he played
second half
good in.
quarterback in the country. I said he's a good second half quarterback. I said he was pretty good
Mike Wright
in
better.
almost every single game.
Mike Wright better.
He did good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right.
At least
listen.
Mike Wright showed up against Kentucky.
All right. So, with that being said, we're starting to talk about other teams. That's the perfect segue. We're bringing back the over-under segment, all right? I don't want any extra opinions. I just want y'all to tell me if this team over or underperformed from what you thought they were going to do at the beginning of the season. So, I'm going to go down the line. Y'all tell me, don't give me a reason, and if somebody blurts out something that's completely different from everybody else, we'll put them on the, hot take board and ask them why. All right. Obviously, we'll start with Georgia. How'd y'all feel about Georgia? Did they overperform?
I predicted
underperform?
They did exactly what they were expected to
Overperformed
do.
for sure.
They
I wouldn't
performed.
say anything
And-
different.
Hey, honestly, I
They
think they
performed.
underperformed. They should. Hey, no, I meant
They
in the
won
regular
the national
season. Not
championship.
overall. Not overall. I just meant like in the regular season. They didn't look like a scary. Because they did show up in big games, but like they didn't look like they were unbeatable. Is what I meant.
They
like
just
they
won the
didn't.
Natty by 50.
I
I
know.
had to take a second.
I'm saying like they should have won all games by
I-
like 20.
They saved their
20
their best for last, I guess.
A little
You're
bit.
You're asking a bunch of 18-year-old kids to show up for 15 football games with the equal motivation. It's just
Yeah.
not happen.
I don't think
I
You know
know.
what, Georgia?
I think they
Yes.
really
That's
want to show
slightly
the nation what they
underperformed.
had anyway until the
Stetson's
playoff time.
25.
Did
He's
exactly
not
what I
18.
expected them to.
Stetson's 25.
Okay,
not 18.
but what about like the 7 freshmen that Georgia started this year?
Okay,
they're all
congrats.
like-
You signed
To
up
be
for
fair,
it.
they were good. Yeah.
You signed up for it. All right, next team.
The greatest team of all time didn't even show up for 15 games.
Luke,
Which
you want
team
to
was
take another
that?
break?
Which team?
Because I know
2019 LSU. They struggled against Auburn at home.
2001 Miami.
Oh, he's out. He's
He's
out.
not better
He's
than
out.
that
He's
LSU
out.
team.
Suspend
Stop
them.
it.
Look, he's taking
Yeah,
a chair
no.
with him this time. He said,
But I will defend Jackson in
Yeah,
some
not better than
facets
LSU
to say
team.
that there were games where Georgia did look vulnerable. Look at Kent State. They shouldn't have struggled to Kent State. They're a D1 SEC college football team. I don't even
They
know what
still won
division
by
Kent State is.
17.
all right. Let's go
They
to the
only
next
won
team.
only.
We're sitting on Georgia for too long. Let's go to the next team. I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball. Missouri. And I just want
I
over
think-
or under in one at a time.
Under.
One at a time.
I
I'll
think
call
they
your,
over.
I'll call your name.
Oh, my
All
bad.
right. Will. Not Will C. Will F. Over or under on Mizzou.
I think they met expectations. Their winning thing for me was either there you go 4-7, 4-8, 5-7, or 6-6, and they went 6-6. So
All right, next
there
person.
you go.
Like I said, it's just gonna be. I just want to hear over or under, not you explaining to us why you were correct. All right, let's
My
go
bad.
ahead and move it over to Noah real quick. How did Mizzou perform for you?
Over easily.
All right, Jake.
Over.
Luke.
Met expectations.
All right. Kyle.
You gotta say the question again.
Did Mizzou meet your expectations, overperform, or underperform to what you thought they would do at the beginning of the season?
Perform.
All right, Dane.
I think they push. I wasn't expecting the bowl game.
All right, Big Smoke.
I think they overperformed.
All right, Cocklover.
I think they overperformed. The defense was amazing.
All right, cool. Next team. Here's another one that's gonna throw everybody off. Oh, okay.
Don't exist. Bye.
All right. For this next one, I will say this. Anybody that's watching on the YouTube or listening, you're not going to hear your favorite little munch on this next question just because I'm going to mute him because I don't want this segment to go on for 15 more minutes. We're going to talk
my
about
God, bro.
Scar. So my little cock munch.
I'll
I need
already
you to-
mute myself.
Thank you, cock munch. All right, Luke, you start.
What?
It definitely overperformed.
All right, Will,
Over.
Noah,
Over.
Nate,
Over.
Kyle,
Over.
Dane,
Definitely over.
Big Smoke.
Push.
All right, and now we can bring him out of timeout. The one, the only, the munch to rule them all. Jackson.
Mr. Clean.
Mr.
Met
Clean.
expectations. I'm joking. It's over. It's over. It's over.
I was about to say, okay, Jackson, listen, we heard your BS in the chat all year, and you're like, yeah, this is what's gonna happen. Nah, okay.
Hey, I
to
called it
answer
8-4.
I still had to answer receipts for you on Twitter when you told a bunch of Florida fans, South Carolina will finish above Florida, which they did, but they got beat by Florida, and I had to sit here and argue with 5 42-year-old men
Hey,
because they're
my
like, your
bad.
podcast just isn't credible because you made some BS take like that. I'm like, it's a podcast. I'm not allowed to
Hey.
have an opinion of my sports scripter.
We're supposed to get everything right, Jason. Every single take on this podcast is supposed to be 1,000% correct.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Obviously,
That's the case.
every
Hey,
other
listen,
podcast and sports analyst does that.
listen, I'm sorry. Luke has brought it to my attention that we got to be 100% right. So with that being said, this is going to be the last episode of V2 because ain't none of us getting this shit right for the rest of the year. All right, let's go ahead and go on to the next team, LSU. I'm going to start this one off with Kyle.
Over.
All right, Dane,
Nah, I'm gonna say over.
Smoke Poppy,
Overperformed.
Mr. Clean,
I'm gonna say over.
Nate,
Definitely over.
Mr. Space Laser.
Way over.
All right. Will.
Met record wise, over standings wise.
All right, homie that's picking his fingers.
Met expectations.
All right.
How?
All right, now for the next team. Tennessee. I'm going to start this one off with Jackson.
I'm gonna say they definitely overachieved.
Noah.
This is the easiest one to say over for, right?
Yeah. Kyle.
Definitely over.
Daddy Dane.
Over.
Smoke.
Definitely overperformed.
Nate.
Over.
Mr. Defensive Guru, who's about to tell me that they met your record, but you were very disappointed in the ACL injury. Will, tell me how you felt.
They met expectations.
Yeah, no. Luke, you're going to have to take over the rest of this segment. I'm going to throw my damn mic through the window.
I got you. Under. Should have won the Natty by 50.
All right, you know what?
No, they
Just for hearing
overperformed.
that, I'm throwing the mic.
They overperformed. I was kidding. Please.
I know where you live, Luke. I recognize those cabinets
That's the
behind you.
window.
All right, now Alabama, and
Easy.
easy, super easy. All right, Smoke,
Severely under.
CM, Mr. Cock himself, Jackson,
Severely under.
Nate,
Bryce Young overperformed. Bill O'Brien caused everyone else to underperform.
W take.
Kyle,
Slightly underperformed.
Lawson Unbound's doppelganger. That's you, Luke.
7.
That's. Why do I look like him?
I
That's
don't
not
know.
true.
Wow,
Um,
It is true.
Unpopular
man.
opinion. Met expectations.
Wow.
what?
Ooh.
He's that one person in the
I-
media
I-
every year that
What
praises
do you explain?
Alabama's
Playoffs,
downfalls.
but
He's
I
that
agree
I'll-
with Luke.
Can I explain?
Please,
I'm willing to. I can keep it short.
yes.
The simple point is, when you have Bill O'Brien as your coordinator, you have freshmen who can't catch the ball at receiver, and you have a defense who can't go a game without collecting 50 penalties. That's Dallas Turner. You're not gonna win. You're not gonna go to the playoffs. Simple as that. So I think they met expectations considering they had a child at offensive coordinator and a team that was very indisciplined.
Mr. Fuller.
They met expectations.
All right, Luke, do me a favor for this next take. I need you to get the mic a little bit farther down your throat for the end. Okay?
Got you.
Okay.
Got
So
you.
this next team,
Got you.
a team that a
I
lot
never
of
got to go.
What'd you say?
I want to put my input in.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I forgot you.
Nah, you're good. I'm actually going to say they met expectations, but for the reason that they lost 2 games, but they lost those 2 games by a combined total of 4 points. That's just, they were both last second losses, too. They hung in till the very end. It's still the same Bama.
Football's a 60-minute game. Whistle to whistle.
The same Bama?
They're definitely not that. Now for the next team.
Yeah, I don't know
A lot
about
of
that.
people, a lot of people had a lot of hype surrounding this team starting the year strictly because of a new coach. And before I get into them, y'all can kind of guess who they are. As of today, there have been conflicting reports about one of their top recruits requesting a release from their NLI. And I'm sorry to tell y'all this, but V2 Sports is not another recruiting company that also has a number in their name and hires and employs literal children who get their sources and their knowledge from group chats. My son. So let's just go ahead and get into Florida. And I'm going to go ahead and start us off with Noah. How you feel about
I'd actually like to go last because I would like to put in so much input on this.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start it with Will.
Sunbelt Billy underperformed.
Kyle.
Watch your mouth.
Under.
say?
I'm gonna say under for sure.
Smoke. Okay, he chose to not give an answer. It was that bad. Jackson.
Sunbelt Billy is terrible. Underperformed.
Look at you.
Okay, move me to right above Noah because I got input too.
Fine. Nate.
Severely underperformed.
Luke.
Based on the preseason hype, underperformed.
All right. Jackson.
Dude, let me tell you something. This man Anthony Richardson had like first round pick, Heisman hopeful. Like, oh my gosh, Florida was
He
projected
still
to win
is.
8 or 9 games,
Who said
and
that?
dude, Sunbelt Billy not only crushed his team's spirits, but gave them the worst possible outcome out of
Fire
any
everybody.
possible solution.
Fire everybody.
Oh my god, bro! You
That
say he
field
has
goal
6
against Oregon
wins.
State was something.
You say he has 6 wins. One of those wins was against South Carolina.
I know.
Not only that, but he blew them out. I'd like to say they did underperform. AR was supposed to quote unquote win Heisman. He cannot do that. He's not. I wouldn't say he's bad. He's just a very big work in progress. I'd like to say Billy's doing good. He's recruiting well. I think we need an offensive coordinator. That is a desperate. Not we.
We?
This. Oh my god.
It's okay. It's okay. You lost me at the recruiting thing because scared money doesn't get Cormani. So let's go ahead and let me get my little input in on Florida. Wow, you were the biggest steaming pile of shit disappointment that I could have witnessed.
Dude,
Accurate.
dude,
All
Luke,
right, listen,
Luke,
I had
Luke's
so,
facial expression's killing me.
I had so much hope for Florida. All right,
All
Y'all
I'm
know the
gonna say is-
backstory. I'm not gonna give it to y'all again about what this podcast used to be. And you would think, hey, they gotta hate. Listen, I love Florida. I always have. They produce NFL talent every year. And I was like, all right, I wonder who it's going to be. And I told everybody before the season started, I said, Anthony Richardson is going to prove all of you doubters wrong. And then Anthony Richardson.
Oh my god.
Bro is dying.
And then
Wait,
Anthony
it's
Richardson
me, baby.
proceeded to prove me wrong. I had so much faith in that man. I had so much hype. And yes, he has first round talent. I'll still write on that. He has first round talent. His weapons, the scheme, the play call, just nothing was there for him. Now, before I get into his next team, Luke,
I want to go back to
what
when we
the
played
hell
Utah.
did you just show us on the YouTube?
That was grim. Or that was Mertz, Florida's
Bro,
quarterback. I got sent a message of, I'll show it again, of him what looks to be intoxicated or high or damaged.
That's my quarterback.
You're right.
That
Why
is
is
It's a metaphor
hammered.
for Florida season.
I want to let everybody know this right now, if you weren't aware. Our YouTube does not make money, and we're gonna find a way to get demonetized just from that.
Yeah, no, that image solely has whatever money we were theoretically gonna make is gone.
That was nightmare-inducing. So let's go ahead and move on to another
It was.
team. We're gonna pick up the second half of the SEC next episode. The team that surprised me, and I know the team that surprised damn near everybody in here, we were cheering for them all year. Let's talk about the Vanderbilt Commies.
I'm going last.
Can I sit out?
No,
Can I
you're
sit
not.
out?
No, Jackson, you're going first, because me
Bro.
and Luke had to sit in here with you. No, pause. I want to give everybody a little bit of backstory. Me, Luke, and Jackson sat in this Discord and watched the Kentucky Vanderbilt game. Me and Luke are poor college students. We don't have cable. We're watching it on a cracked stream from YouTube. Shit's mirrored. You have no sound. The announcers are slightly speaking in Spanish, and me and Luke are on the edges of our seats. And all of a sudden, Jackson, who's been muted for a half of the whole game, He just comes in, holy shit, he caught it, he caught it, he caught it. And me and Luke are like 5 plays back, and we're so damn confused. And finally,
It was the fourth down. It was the fourth down catch. Mike Wright, I don't know how he completed it. And then I didn't say when the touchdown happened, but I called I said
Actually,
when the fourth
no,
down
no, no.
happened.
No, here's the thing. We told you, okay, we got the first down bit. Just don't tell us anything going forward. And
I didn't
after
say
the
the
next few
touchdown.
plays, I hear Jackson go in the background, touchdown! But it was like in the background, so it was faded, and I was like,
so
God.
Vandy definitely surprised a lot of teams. So Nate, I'm gonna let you start instead of Jackson because I'm still pissed at you about spoiling that happy moment for me, that damn near orgasm. Nate, how did Vandy do for you?
Honestly, they overperformed. Almost made a bowl game. If they hadn't have had to play Tennessee in the last game of the season, I could have seen them making a bowl game.
All right, Noah.
I knew it was coming. Bro,
Wait, did Vandy?
last play of the game,
Oh,
Anthony Richardson throws the ball out of bounds. I was out with my friends. We were like, they were thrifting. I'm watching the game, stressed out. I never thought I'd be stressed out over a Vandy game in my life.
Would have thought.
I walked out of the store. I drove home. I was done.
Okay, Will.
They met my expectations.
Dude, what? Okay, no, never mind. I don't need
Matt?
explanation.
There's no way. There's no way they met your expectations. Who expects
Oh.
Vanderbilt to go to a bowl game?
I did.
Or
I
almost
did.
go to a bowl game?
I thought they would go 5-7. I just
I
got the
did.
Florida and
I didn't see
Wake
them
Forest
making a bowl
game
game.
switched. I thought they'd beat
I
Wake Forest.
definitely saw them
Florida.
winning 3 games.
Alright.
Didn't see them starting 2-0. But
I won
didn't-
$200
They
betting the
overperformed.
over on their record.
Definitely overperformed.
Big Smoke.
Overperformed easily.
All right, and now for the man who just stared into my soul through the camera and is breathing hard as hell, Luke.
I don't even have the mic near me.
Don't
But-
see your chest. You look like you're literally like fight or flight reaction going on, and somebody just broke into your dorm.
I mean, people do often. But, I mean, I bag. But, slightly, I'd say slightly over. I do think that they were supposed to play better than their past few seasons. So slightly.
Alright, one, I would like to make this statement. I do not want to hear the term "I bag" coming from somebody who goes to Florida State, especially after the whole Ted Bundy incidents of the '80s. Are you? So, let's watch our use on the word "I bag," please.
Yeah.
No, do
I'm
not
sorry,
put
I was
that
laughing
picture
so
on.
hard I had to
Dangerous.
mute my
I
mic.
will cut you off
Dangerous.
right now. I will cut your screen off right now if you show that damn nightmare image. One more time for the culture? What the? No, okay. No, we're gonna stop. Alright. It's been a 40-minute episode. As many of y'all know, V2 is approaching its 1 year. I told y'all last week we're gonna do a bunch of Twitch and Instagram lives.
Vanderbilt underperformed.
Jackson, there's a reason I didn't ask you, because I knew you were going to say something out of pocket. Alright, look, everybody that's listening, y'all know we have a website, y'all know we have a Twitter. If you have a problem with the website, and you feel that your team was targeted, or you feel that you can see better content, I want you to take all your complaints to this man that's staring at the screen right now, and Will. They are our new website managers, alright? Twitter complaints, Nate, he's another person you see at the camera. He's got his guns out, aka them little chucksters on his arm right there. He will definitely beat your ass if you say anything bad about the Twitter. But
Conveniently, Mike's blocking my flicks for a reason.
Alright, our next Twitter manager, we brought him back. So if you see anything hot, stupid, a little illiterate,
Or related to South Carolina.
maybe some short bus status type Twitter post.
If you
Take
see
that
a lot of
complaint-
polls, it's me.
Yeah, thank you, Jackson. Now, our TikTok. We have a TikTok that's been handed off to Noah and Dane.
Yes, sir.
Me, Papa V2, Jason. I'm still running the Instagram. Nothing's gonna change. 2023, I know a lot of people say it every new year. It's going to be our year. I'm just letting y'all know. V2's coming, I guess you could say it in how Ye said it, harder, a little bit faster, and a hell of a lot stronger this year. So we're coming for everything.
You're gonna pause.
I'm not pausing at that. I'm coming faster. Now,
Oh my god.
I can officially.
Might as well just get back forward with that one.
I can honestly, now that we're closing out the episode, it's been a while since I've been able to say this, but we get to shout out one of our sponsors.
Whoa.
V2 won the appeal. V2 definitely didn't bring up lawyers with somebody. If you're looking to go to a sporting event, a concert, anything, especially with it being basketball or baseball season, make sure you buy your tickets from SeatGeek. Make sure that you have a new account and use code V2Sports for $20 off your first purchase on the brand new account. If you're not hearing what I'm saying because I got in trouble for it, on a brand new account with a brand new email and password. Wink, wink. Alright, listen, make a new account. It's not going to work the second time. Alright, so thank y'all for joining us. We're going to have another episode, but before y'all hear our second SEC team recap, like blanket episode, we're going to have an interview coming out later this week with a Florida commit. I understand y'all are probably getting tired of the Florida players. That's not my fault. That's not anybody else's fault. It's that every other player and team, they don't care. But Florida players just love us for some reason, so shout out to the two that listen. We love you, Shamar. We love you, Javon. So thank y'all. And Luke, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up that because it's the new year, we're going to be bringing in a lot more people from a lot of different teams. We're also bringing in more people into the V2 crew. So, like, I am being serious when I say this year is going to be a lot different for this podcast and for this brand as a whole. So please pay attention because you're about to see a lot of really cool changes going on with the program.
And as always, I'm going to say it once again, but I'm probably going to change it up soon because I definitely didn't get an email asking us to stop saying it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night from the V2 crew. We love y'all. We appreciate every single one of y'all, and we'll see y'all with the interview.